Hi there, welcome again. Today we have Jesus teaching by the lakeside, and a group of Pharisees come and publicly ask Jesus for a sign. Jesus sees their hypocrisy straight away and is obviously pretty fed up. So he and the disciples get in a boat and they head off to the other side of the lake. And as soon as they get into the boat, Jesus says to the fellas, "Listen, keep your eyes open. Be aware of the leaven of the Pharisees." And then Jesus hears the disciples saying, "Oh, it's because we only have one bread, one loaf in the boat." And Jesus throws up his hands again. And he says, a stream of sort of questions. He says, "Do you still not understand? Are your minds still closed? Do you have no perception? Do your eyes not see, nor your ears hear?" Jesus says, do not understand? Like, don't you remember? And then he goes on to recall the miracles when they fed the 5,000. And he said, "How many baskets of scraps did you pick up?" 12. And after the feeding of the 4,000, how many scraps of bread did you pick up? How many baskets? 7. And he says, "You still don't understand." I was impressed by the scene. Jesus, first of all, being hassled by the Pharisees and their falseness, hypocrisy, and then being hassled by the thickness, if you like, of the disciples who hadn't seen the significance of the miracles, who were still concerned about enough bread or not enough bread, when Jesus is trying to counsel them about being aware and awake to the leaven of the Pharisees in society. And we're disciples today too, aren't we? Missionary disciples, through baptism. And I wonder if Jesus isn't saying the same to us today. Be awake, be alert, be attentive, be aware of yourself and of the world around you. It's an invitation that Jesus gives. And many times in his Gospels, or the Gospels, the authors have Jesus saying, be awake, be alert, be attentive to the world you live in and what's going on around you. Because so often God is revealing in the daily activities, not necessarily in the great spectacles, but in the events of daily life. And it's so easy for us to live one day 7 times a week instead of 7 different days a week if we are not awake. And the thing I want to comment on today, and I'm going to say this because a friend of mine, and a good friend, the other day when we were chatting, he came up with the official story of why Donald Trump, one day to the next, cancelled the support that US aid was giving to the world. He suspended 10,000 workers from providing this service, and he cut funding. His total focus was on a project and saving money. He was not aware. His eyes could not see and his ears could not hear the needs of people with AIDS, for example, around the world, who were receiving the medication they needed to live. Or of kids around the world in so many isolated places who are getting an education thanks to the NGOs that are supported by USAID. Or likewise, the victims of civil war, the victims of natural disasters like droughts, floods, or fires, that need the food provided by USAID simply to live. And that one man could, with the stroke of the pen, save money at the cost of all these lives. Be awake, be attentive, understand what is going on, and what are the priorities that we, as members of our common home, should have. This same man presents himself as pro-life. It seems to me a rather large inconsistency there. So what I want to say today is, as Jesus was exasperated with both the Pharisees and their hypocrisy, and the disciples with their lack of perception, that you and I today are invited not to have that litany of questions posed to us that Jesus posed to the disciples. Do you not understand? Do you not remember? Can you not see or hear? So let us be awake, let us be attentive, so that we also might be able to recognize the presence and action of God in our world and our lives, and be able to respond as beloved sons and daughters of this same God. Okay? Have a great week. And by the grace of God, we'll see you next week too.